You were elected in 2000, so 22 years in power. The next election is scheduled in 2024. You haven't said whether you would run, but do you consider running or?
Well, I will consider running for another 20 years.
Really?
I have no problem with that.
Really? Right. You've always consistently refused this criticism on human rights, on a democracy that's not exactly a democracy, always saying this comes from the West or Western media or Western organization. Don't they have a point at all?
Wouldn't I have a point if I criticized the Western democracy?
Sure.
Yeah. So what is the problem? If democracy is not going to be perfect anywhere, at all, as we have seen, as we always see, we see that, you know. What I don't like is just the hypocrisy. You are so deep in your own mess about democracy, and then you think you have authority to come and...
Yeah, that is something. In Swahili we have a saying which says you look at other people's problems without looking at yourself and noticing that you also have an issue yourself too.
Make criticisms about others and even want that to have a consequence on them. It's just hypocrisy. And am I supposed to accept that?
Well, as a last question, you were elected in 2000, so 22 years in power. The next election is scheduled in 2024. You haven't said whether you would run, but do you consider running or?
Well, I will consider running for another 20 years.
Really?
I have no problem with that.
Really?
Yes.
This means the president.
We're talking about elections.
Yes.
Again, this is the contradiction and the hypocrisy I'm talking about.
Well, there could be limit on the mandates, right?
Elections are about people choosing, isn't it?
Right. When they're free and fair, yes.
And that's yes, okay. But you haven't. At least of all the criticisms you have had, nobody has said the elections have not been free or fair. But we have had it in other places that people don't even talk about, including even people who.
Yeah, I would say that this is an. Even the journalist asking this question, doesn't he think that if the people have a problem with that, eventually one way or the other is going to come out, and there are going to be consequences, even without foreign interference? Of course, I don't like a situation where there is no foreign input, but most of it should come from the residents themselves. I think if there's an issue, and we have seen this in other areas of the world, it will come out eventually. And I don't know if he's having an issue with the number of times a person should be elected or the age. I didn't quite get that, but let's continue.
Complain about us. So don't you have, right now as we speak, we are having cases in the developed world about elections.
Right.
You remember, not so long ago, there is a case going on somewhere in a very advanced democracy about
in the United States, yes.
Somebody who wants to. So this is, I think people have to decide what they want to do for themselves. You see, you have problems of your own that somebody should be questioning, and then you want to, be the one to dictate what I should be doing. At the same time, even with the contradiction, because if you are talking about elections, and the election is about people choosing.
Yes, sir, but
and
it could be.
You are saying if it is free and fair, but that has not been the accusation. The accusation is different. Even the one you started, you are not talking about how free or not free the election.
Yeah, that is another thing as he said, they are talking about elections, but again, it comes out very biased, because why are they only focusing on a few countries? Why are they not talking about it in other countries? What about some of the countries where there is no even elections, and I don't need to mention them, but some of them are allies, key allies of the Western countries. Some of them, they are kingdoms where even an democracy is unheard of. So I don't know why they just try to focus on even if they are driving an agenda, because whenever you are engaging with another country, it must be something that you're pushing. But sometimes it's just awful and in bad taste, and sometimes you even lose focus on what the two countries are coming together to talk about.
You are talking about just having to choose so many times. I think that this is different.
Right, but people could say, you know, I'm not going to be president for life. There should be limits.
Which people are you talking about?
Well, you have debates in many African countries about 2 terms. I mean, we've had it, you're having it in Senegal, in Ivory Coast, and others, because they say a person after a while in power should leave and maybe...
That's fine. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But people can also say a different thing. So which one are you supposed to accept?
Yeah, and that is what I was talking about. There are other countries, even outside of Africa, where there are no elections, and they are content with that. They have chosen for themselves that this is a kind of system that we want to have, a system where we don't elect anyone, where the leadership of the countries is selected in another way outside of democracy as dictated by the West. And we have not heard of a single criticism about such systems. It's just that I don't want to give examples, because they might someone might take them in the wrong way, whereas I'm just giving an example. But for people with the information, they know what I'm talking about. So this issue of secluding a few countries or a few individuals and criticizing them, just attacking them, I think there is something that is not, they are not being sincere.
People can say that, yes, and I would accept it. But if they said the other one also, I would accept it. So what is the issue here? Anyway, why would anyone be so concerned about our own situation, which the people of Rwanda seem to be happy about, that is working for them, but somebody says, no, that's not true. That should not happen in Rwanda. We haven't been questioning what is happening elsewhere. As I said, if you criticize me, I criticize you, because there are things somebody is doing that are not right, even against me, and then he comes around and starts blaming me for what I'm doing that is working for me. For me, I'm just even basing on simple logic.
Yeah, I think that is a very insightful engagement that we can get to see some of the problematic issues that comes with the Western countries dealing with other countries around the globe, especially in Africa. Because when we look elsewhere, when we look even starting from Africa, yes, it's true, we can see some situations where some leaders are just not fit to be in office. Where it's just honestly, these people are not fit to be in office based on how they are running their day-to-day work in office and outside of office. And even when we look elsewhere, we can look and say this person is not fit for office. He should not be leading in a country, because when you are a leader of a country, that's a very huge responsibility, and I don't think some of these people should be in office. But on the other hand, if they have been voted in, if they are doing their work normally, then I don't see why you should have a very unfair looking at them with a very unfair eye, especially like we know for Kagame. It's like constantly, it's like nothing he does ever seems to be to appease anyone. But anyway, that's my opinion for today. Leave your comments below, like, share, subscribe, and see you next time.